Hello and welcome. My name's Campbell. This is Spiral Up. Thank you for joining me. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And today I've got another little story I'm going to read out. And this one was sent to me by Sayonara, who I have done a couple of recent chats with. So if you haven't seen those, please do check them out. I'll leave the links in the description. And so let's get into it. This is the story of the 10-cow wife. Get Johnny Lingo to help you find what you want, and then let him do the bargaining, advised Schenken as I sat on the veranda of his guest house and wondered whether to visit Nurumbandy. He'll earn his commission 4 times over. Johnny knows the value and how to make a deal. Johnny Lingo, the chubby boy on the veranda steps hooted the name, then hugged his knees and rocked with shrill laughter. Be quiet, said his father, and the laughter grew silent. Johnny Lingo's the sharpest trader in this part of the Pacific. The simple statement made the boy choke and almost roll off the steps. Smiles broadened on the faces of the villagers standing by. What goes on? I demanded. Everybody around here tells me to get in touch with Johnny Lingo and then breaks up. Is it some kind of trick? A wild goose chase? Like sending someone for a left-handed wrench? Is there no such person? Or is he the village idiot, or what? Let me in on the joke. Not idiot, said Schenken. Only one thing. 5 months ago, at festival time, Johnny came to Kinwata and found himself a wife, and he paid her father 10 cows. He spoke the last words with great solemnity, and I knew enough about island customs to be thoroughly impressed. 2 or 3 cows would buy a fair to middling wife, 4 or 5 a highly satisfactory one. But 10 cows, I said? She must have been a beauty that takes your breath away. That's why they laugh, my guest said. It would be kindness to call her plain. She was little and skinny and with no endowments. She walked with her shoulders hunched and her head ducked, as if she was trying to hide behind herself. Her cheeks had no colour, her eyes never opened beyond a slit, and her hair was a tangled mop half over her face. She was scared of her own shadow, frightened by her own voice. She was afraid to laugh in public, and she never romped with the girls. So how could she attract the boys? But she attracted Johnny. This is the story, Schenken told me. All the way to the council tent, the cousins were urging Sam to try for a good settlement. Ask for 3 cows, they told him, and hold out for 2 until you're sure he'll only pay 1. But Sam was in such a stew and so afraid there'd be some slip in this marriage chance for Sarita that they knew he wouldn't hold out for anything. So while they waited, they resigned themselves to accepting 1 cow and thought instead of their luck in getting such a good husband for Sarita. Then Johnny came into the tent and without waiting for a word from any of them went straight up to Sam Carew, grasped his hand and said, "Father of Sarita, I offer you 10 cows for your daughter." And he delivered the cows. As soon as it was over, Johnny took Sarita to the island of Cho for the first week of marriage. Then they went home to Nurumbandy, and we haven't seen them since. Except at festival time, there's not much travel between the islands. The story interested me so much, I decided to investigate. The next day I reached the island where Johnny lived, where I met the slim, serious man. He welcomed me to his home with a grace that made me feel like the owner. I was glad that from his own people he had respect unmingled with mockery. I told him that his people had told me about him. They speak so much of me on that island. What do they say? They say you are a sharp trader, I said. They also say the marriage settlement you made for your wife was 10 cows. I paused, then went on, coming as close to a direct question as I could. They wonder why. They say that? His eyes lighted with pleasure. He seemed not to have noticed the question. Everyone in Kinwata knows about the 10 cows? I nodded. And in Narrabundy everyone knows it too. His chest expanded with satisfaction. Always and forever, when they speak of marriage settlements, it will be remembered that Johnny Lingo paid 10 cows for Sarita. So that's the answer, I thought with disappointment. All this mystery and wonder, and the explanation's only vanity. It's not enough for his ego to be known as the smartest, the strongest, the quickest. He had to make himself famous for this way of buying a wife. I was tempted to deflate him by reporting that in Kinwata he was laughed at for a fool. And then I saw her, through the glass-beaded portieres that shimmered in the archway. I watched her enter the adjoining room to place a bowl of blossoms on the dining table. She stood still a moment to smile with sweet gravity at the young man beside me. Then she went swiftly out again. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Not with the beauty of the girls who carry fruit. That now seemed cheap, common, earthbound. This girl had an ethereal loveliness that was at the same time from the heart of nature. The dew-fresh flowers with which she'd picked back her lustrous black hair accented the glow of her cheeks. The lift of her shoulders, the tilt of her chin, the sparkle of her eyes, all spelled a pride to which no one could deny her the right. And as she turned to leave, she moved with the grace that made her look like a queen who might, with enchantment, turn into a kitten. When she was out of sight, I turned back to Johnny Lingo and found him looking at me with eyes that reflected the pride of the girls. You admired her, he murmured. She's glorious. Who is she? She's my wife. I stared at him blankly. Was this some custom I had not heard of? Do they practice polygamy around here? He, for his 10 cows, bought both Sarita and this other? Before I could come from a question, he spoke again. This is the only Sarita. His way of saying the words gave them a special significance. Perhaps you wish to say she does not look the way that they told you she looked in Kinwata. She doesn't. The impact of the girl's appearance made me forget that fact. I heard she was homely, or at least nondescript. They all make fun of you because you let yourself be cheated by Sam Carew. You think he cheated me? You think 10 cows were too many? A slow smile slid across his lips as I shook my head. She can see her father and her friends again, and they can see her. Do you think anyone will make fun of us then? Much has happened to change her, and much in particular happened the day she went away. You mean the day she married you? That, yes, but most of all, I mean the arrangements for the marriage. Arrangements? Do you ever think, he asked reflectively, what it does to a woman when she knows that the price her husband has paid is the lowest price for which she can be bought? And then later, when all the women talk, as women do, they boast of what their husbands paid for them. One says 4 cows, another maybe 6. How does she feel, the woman who was sold for 1 or 2? This could not happen to my Sarita. Then you paid that unprecedented number of cows just to make your wife happy? Happy? He seemed to turn the word over on his tongue, as if to test for its meaning. I wanted Sarita to be happy, yes, but I wanted more than that. You say she's different from the way they remember her in Kinwata? This is true. Many things can change a woman. Things that happen inside, things that happen outside. But the thing that matters most is what she thinks about herself. In Kinwata, Sarita believed she was worth nothing. Now she knows that she is worth more than any other woman on the islands. Then you wanted... I wanted to marry Sarita. I loved her and no other woman. But I was close to understanding. But, he finished softly, I wanted a 10-cow wife. And so there you go. A little story, and obviously there is a moral to this story, and definitely take what speaks to you. But to me, this is really talking about, it's how we see ourselves. It's our own self-image that dictates the way that we carry ourselves. And of course, the way that we carry ourselves dictates the way that people see us and judge us, because people do judge. You can say that they shouldn't, but they do. And so if you treat someone, if you spend your time showing someone how important they are and what power they do have inside them, then they will see that, they will start to believe it, and they will start to change, because their self-image, that the way they see themselves will change. It reminds me of another story I heard many moons ago, and I can't remember the details, but basically it was about a guy, and he was doing some business with another guy at his house, and this guy had a daughter who was always, I think it was his daughter, who was always just the same kind of thing, shoulders slumped, head down, not looking like she had much self-esteem. And so he just took it on himself that every time he went over, he'd just pay her a compliment. He'd just say, "Oh, you're looking good today," or, whatever, just a compliment. Didn't go out of his way, just something small. And he said over months, she just started to change. Her shoulders went back, her chin came up, she started to smile more. And of course, when that happens, then he could give her more compliments. And this is how we change people, because, it is the world and the system we've been born into, and all those that go along with it, that beat us down and tell us that we're not good enough. But that is such a lie. I mean, we are the creation. We are the greatest, the epitome of the creation in this realm. We are. And anyone who tells you different is suffering from the disease of believing that they are not worthy. And that's all they're telling you is how they see themselves, because clearly they can't tell you how you see yourself. So, if we want to change things, we need to build people up. We need to let them see the greatness that is within them. And when we do that, that greatness will start to come out. And, whether it be, beauty or self-esteem or, sporting prowess or music or whatever it is, if we just take the time to stop and encourage people, it makes a big difference. It really has a big effect. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a big affair. It doesn't have to be a big thing. In fact, don't make it a big thing, because that often makes it worse, because it can seem disingenuous. But just compliment people and see what happens. Because of course everything is energy, and the more good thoughts and the more good energy we put into the collective, the more good is obviously out there, and the more good we will see. So I hope you enjoyed that little story. Thanks again to Sayonara for sending it over to me. Thanks for spending some time with me. And remember, look inside yourself, because there is greatness in there. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.